Well, you guys, welcome to Dog Hugs today. Robbie, it is really great to see you. Happy birthday, my friend. You had a big birthday yesterday.
I did have a birthday yesterday. I did not have a party hat, and guess what? It was
What?
Hazel's birthday, too.
Hazel's birthday? Wow, did birthday girl get some fun?
Well, she got to have a little bit of a mini cupcake.
Nice.
I couldn't buy her clothes or put a party hat on her because she's scared of clothes and of hats. So,
well, that's a great idea because we want, even though putting clothes on our pets might be super cute, it's all about what does the pet want to do. And if the pet doesn't want none of that human stuff, don't force it. And there are acclimation tricks, which we've shown on this show. Yep. In fact, I'll, since it's in honor of your birthday, we'll show it again. Hey, Spider, you want to come up? So Spider, we acclimate Spider to wearing his birthday hat. It's got a little chin strap here. First, by just touching it to his head. Here, let me show you this way.
Okay.
First, by touching it to his head, and then he's getting rewarded for that. And then eventually we can put the chin strap on just for a moment and he gets rewarded again. So it becomes something he wants to do. Hey, buddy, hat on? There you go. And eventually, the dog might enjoy the hat or not. We never want to force it. Actually,
that's my goal for Hazel's second birthday, to have her like clothes, because I've got an extensive poodle wardrobe here that, her and Henrietta could share. So that's my goal by her second birthday, is to wear a hat and to enjoy wearing a dress.
There you go. That's quite a goal for the year. Well, since we are live from the laundry lounge today, you may know that last Thursday, Chris Parandi challenged Spider and me to learn how to throw and catch a Frisbee. And we're working on it. But I got to tell you, Robbie, it is really slow going. But I want to share with you the progress that we are making. And all right, here we go. Let's walk over into the studio. All right, Spider, let's show them how far we've gotten with our Frisbee catches here. So I have two floppy disks. These are the soft, made out of cloth with rubber on the side. And here comes Spider, and he's going to jump for one. Yes! Now, the best reward here is not a treat, although Spider, as you know, loves treats, but he loves to play with this. Now, the trick is, do I get him to drop it? And I get him to drop it by showing him the other treat. But you know what? He's looking at the treat pocket. That's pretty funny. All right, ready? Hup. Good. So this is how far we've gotten. Ready? Hup. Good job. So little by little, ready? Hup. Hup. Well, little by little. So I've got really some big work to do on it because Thursday we're going to be with Chris, and he's going to help me out. Now the good news is tomorrow I'm going to be on Chris's Facebook Live show, the alternative CDC, as he calls it. CDC in this case stands for Coffee, Dogs, and Curiosities. So Spider and I will be the special guest tomorrow. All right. Well, so that Spider gets going with, so we can get on with our show here today. Let's go back over into the laundry lounge. And as you guys know, we've got all kinds of things to busy Spider with. We've got the busy box that we put treats on. We've got what we call the treat ball that PetSafe sent us. And then, oh my gosh, Kong sent us this. This is a hard rubber Kong. But they've got this new gizmo that you put on the end of it that is molded to fit on the end of the Kong. And it is chewable. And oh my gosh, it is like an all day or at least 20-minute sucker for Spider. and he is going to go nuts. So we'll go back over to the studio. Come on, buddy. And he is going to go crazy. Have a ball or a Kong. All right, that was plenty fun. All right. You guys have been chiming in already. What's going on with you guys? Bailey, hello to you. Great to see you again. Great to see you, Bailey. We love folks who come and visit each time.
Regularly.
Julio Sanchez, howdy from Connecticut. Are there cowboys in Connecticut, Julio? That's fantastic. And Dana Russo's going, nice. Yep, something's nice. We like that. All right. Oh, and Positively Woke is asking, what trick did Spider learn next? Crowdsourcing. Love that.
Hey, I had to do something to keep me out of trouble while you were doing your trick with Spider.
It seems to be working.
It does.
He is so calm right now.
Wow.
He's, I'd say he's got about 5 more minutes on that all-day sucker.
Well, then we better get Steve on quickly because he's got fantastic information about COVID-19 and our pets.
Yeah, we have an amazing guest who you're really going to enjoy here today. Steve Dale, Robbie and I have known Steve for many years. I consider Steve the top pet journalist in America. And he's hosted Pet World on WGN Radio in Chicago. Steve and I met 9 years old. Yeah, when we were 9 years old, 9 years ago, when we were both being honored at the Dog Writers Association of America. I was being honored for my dog training book, and Steve for a Lifetime Achievement Award, which is pretty amazing considering he's only 18 years old. And, great.
We're all so young.
Yeah. Oh, look at this. We have also in the audience, before I bring on Steve, one of Steve's friends and our friend, Joan Bauman. Joan is going to be on the show, I think, next week. Hi, Lara. Good to see you and Spider. And you're meeting Robbie now, too. Looking forward to seeing Steve Dale. Well, I couldn't imagine a better hello to Steve than one from Joan. So let's bring Steve right into the show now. Welcome, Steve Dale.
Hey, it's an honor. Well, there I am. It's an honor to be here. Thank you, guys. And it's good to see you both again. It's been a while.
It has been a while.
It has been.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you've got some great stuff to share with us about new research in feline infectious peritonitis. Did I say that right?
Yes, sure.
And but before we get to the serious stuff, because it relates here to what we know about humans and COVID, which is pretty amazing breakthrough research, we've got to have some fun here. So, because, as you know, Steve, this show is about dog tricks, I want to share this dog trick that you've created in your own home for your cat and dog, running them through an obstacle course. All right, so here we go. Cat versus dog obstacle challenge. Oh, look at that obstacle challenge. Some sports memorabilia from Chicago here. All right, so contestant number 1 is the cat. Let's see how we do here.
I don't know if I have audio up. That's a 17-year-old cat.
That is a 17-year-old cat. Wow.
And I wouldn't say running an obstacle course is exactly right. Walking the obstacle course.
Sneaking up on one. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Is that Ferguson Jenkins there in the foreground?
It was actually.
Whoa, good.
Yeah, baseball
fan.
fan.
All right. Now let's see how the dog does. All right. Will the dog stealth that way? And who's this?
That's Hazel. Our Hazel.
Robbie has a Hazel.
I know.
Pretty amazing.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, who doesn't? Oh, well done, Hazel.
So when you see these, usually the dog collapses everything, and the cat very slowly meanders his or her way through. Our cat does everything pretty slowly. She's 17, but
Yes.
she actually investigated more than a lot of cats seem to in this obstacles challenge that has gone crazy online. People
Really?
are doing it. Yeah, people are doing it all over the world. And
Oh,
our dog, unlike many dogs that just plow right through like a bull in the proverbial china shop, our dog flew like a ballet dancer right over half of it, landed in a perfect minuet. What is that? I don't even know what that means, but does something like that.
It sounded good to me, man.
and then bounced to the next spot and didn't knock anything over, which is unlike a lot of the dogs.
Fantastic.
That is some talent there.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much. She gets it from her dad, clearly. Well, not really, because I am the bull in the china shop, knocking everything over every chance I get.
Well, that sounds appropriate being a Chicagoan. You've got to be a Chicago bull or bear somehow.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's shift abruptly to the serious topic of what you're doing with the Wynn Feline Foundation.
Sure. So I've been on the board of directors of the Wynn Feline Foundation now for about 15 years or so.
Yeah.
Wynn Feline Foundation, if you happen to have a cat, you know the Wynn Feline Foundation. Even if you don't know the Wynn Feline Foundation, here's what I mean. Everything, and I do mean just about everything we know about your cat was once funded over the past 50 years, 52 years really, by research that the Wynn Feline Foundation has funded. So
no kidding.
Yes.
50 years, 52 years.
Yeah. So everything from what cats eat or typical cats eat. At one point in time, cats were getting a disease called dilated cardiomyopathy. It's a kind of heart disease that made them really sick, sometimes made them blind, sometimes killed them.
Yeah.
No one knew what was happening. This was way back.
Yeah.
Before Robbie was around or before I was around. Maybe Larry, you were around at that time. This goes back.
I was probably.
No. I'm just kidding. This goes back to about the 1960s. And at that point, these cats were getting very sick and they were dying. Research that was funded by the Wynn Feline Foundation to Dr. Paul Payan, veterinary cardiologist, and he learned that there wasn't enough of an amino acid called taurine in cat food. All the pet food companies said, aha, let's fix that. They did fix it. And now we hardly see that in cats anymore. We're seeing that in dogs, which is a whole different topic that I'm happy to talk about. But that's another issue altogether. Vaccines the cats get, like for feline leukemia. So no one knew what the feline leukemia illness was. It was called the cat lymph node disease, I'm told. And it was, again, research funded by the Wynn Feline Foundation to help figure out what this disease is all about. Fast forward the clock, very recently.
Well done, sound effects. Being in radio has really helped you.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So stem cell studies are now being done for cats for kidney disease, for example. And the hope is stem cells. Kidney disease is if you have a cat that's over the age of 13 or 14, likely that cat has some kidney insufficiency. So now we are looking into the possibility of using stem cells to help those cats. And another example, and a very headline-making example, is feline infectious peritonitis, or FIP, which is partly what I'm here to talk about today. And that story interweaves with what's going on right now with COVID-19.
Well, last week when you and I first talked about your being on the show, you said you're going to start hearing about humans and this drug called remdesivir. And I had only heard of it once before we spoke. And that was like, I don't know, was it Wednesday or something like that of next week? And then I'm just hearing remdesivir like every hour because there is one or two studies, I believe, that have shown its efficacy in reducing COVID-19 symptoms from a 15-day sick to an 11-day sick. And, Dr. Fauci and all the rest of them are just thrilled to be reducing the amount of sickness by a third. That is breakthrough good news. And it turns out, Steve, that you've known this all along. You were saying I was going to be hearing all this because you guys at the Wynn Feline Foundation have been doing this work for a while now.
Yes. So dogs get their own coronaviruses. Cats get their own coronaviruses. Pigs get their own coronaviruses. I could list hundreds of species on this planet. Bats get many coronaviruses, for example. And I can talk about how, and we get 6 known coronaviruses. We call 4 of those 6 the common cold. They are variants that cause us to sneeze and have a scratchy throat. Our nose runs and all those things that happen until we have chicken soup, and then the problem is all solved. And that's part of the point, really.
Chicken soup right now.
I hope you don't have a runny nose, though. But a part of the issue was if this was easy, we would have had a cure, aside from chicken soup, for the common cold a long time ago. Coronaviruses are not easy. The other 2 coronaviruses are MERS, the Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome.
MERS.
Yeah. And then the others is SARS-1, which is sudden acute respiratory syndrome.
Yes.
Number 1, that occurred several years ago and kind of burns itself out. This is a SARS virus. So what causes what we call COVID-19 is caused by a SARS virus, a sudden acute respiratory syndrome virus. You'll see the initials SARS-2, essentially. SARC, small o, capital V, and then the number 2, which causes COVID-19. What's important to know here is that it's a SARS virus. And SARS viruses, coronaviruses, SARS is a type of coronavirus, have certain things in common. And some of that is good news, and some of that isn't so good at all.
Right.
It's a very difficult it's a very difficult infection for the human physicians to deal with, or the researchers is what I mean to say, to deal with, because it mutates somewhat frequently. The good news is this SARS virus seems pretty stable, and the mutations seem within a certain realm. So let me start on another track. Some number of years ago, a pharma company named Gilead created a drug when Ebola was an issue, an antiviral drug. There are lots of antibacterial drugs, right? Antibiotics. There aren't too many antivirals. And any number of years ago, like this goes back, I don't know, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, there weren't many antivirals. Even today, there aren't. But there certainly weren't back then. So Gilead came up with this antiviral. The presumption was that it would treat Ebola. It did, but it didn't do a very good job of it. And other drugs came in and did a much better job of it. And it sat on the shelf. Okay, we know that. And a researcher named Niels Peterson at the University of California, Davis knew that too. Dr. Niels Peterson, even before he began his career at UC Davis, was tracking feline infectious peritonitis, or FIP, which is caused by the feline coronavirus. Now, in cats, the feline coronavirus is benign. If your cat has it, or kitten usually has it, you probably don't even know it because there are no signs. The cat isn't, However, on occasion, cats do not eat. What kitten goes a day without eating? That's common. What kitten doesn't get the runs? That's common. And those are really the major signs of the feline coronavirus. So even if you notice, you contact your veterinarian, and by the time the veterinarian calls you back, even if it's in an hour or two, the kitten is fine. That's how benign the coronavirus is in all kittens and cats. However, in about 7% of these kittens primarily, can happen to adult cats also. The virus mutates into an immune-mediated disease where the cat's immune system attacks itself, which in some ways is what is happening here with COVID-19. The immune system attacks itself. There are a couple of kinds of FIP that occur, and it's always been considered fatal.
Got it.
But no one knew and understood the process. What I'm explaining here, which I hope I'm doing in a way that's understandable because it's complicated.
Well, And folks, if you do have any questions, feel
Yes.
free to put them in the
Yes.
comments. And if we don't get to them, we may get to them on the show. If we don't get to them on the show, we'll certainly go back through the chat and do our best to answer them and direct you guys to Steve Dale's Pet World to give you the latest. Because Steve, I think you're really on top of this.
Well, it's because I can't help but be, because I'm on this great, amazing, incredible board of directors to this organization that I'm so proud to be a part of. I will say I've been on too many boards in my career. Maybe this is they can't get rid of me, I guess. They need term limits. I don't know, but this is an amazing organization. I'm so proud to be a part of it. So. Kittens get a coronavirus. That coronavirus, yes, thank you. That coronavirus is benign.
Yeah.
On occasion, that coronavirus mutates into an immune-mediated disease called feline infectious peritonitis, or FIP. Took forever to figure out what was going on there, how that process works. There was at one point a vaccine for FIP. That vaccine did no good whatsoever. There's been no treatment really that has worked. I could talk about a couple things that work a little bit. But really, if you have a kitten diagnosed with FIP, the veterinarian has said historically for decades now, I'm sorry, this kitten is going to die. Let's just make the kitten feel as comfortable as possible, as long as possible. That is it. End of story. Two kinds of FIP. In one, death happens fairly quickly. In another, it takes several months, but ultimately, it's the same outcome, sadly. Until Dr. Peterson came to the Wynn Foundation. We have funded him and others around the world many times in the case of Dr. Peterson over the years. And he is the guy who is the FIP guru on the planet, far be it from me. He is far above and beyond. Even other researchers considered him and do consider him the dude when it comes to FIP.
Wow.
So,
do you know how he chose to go for this treatment rather than?
So he had a hunch about antivirals. He went to the board of directors and said, there's a drug called remdesivir that this pharma company that I have a relationship with, they know me, I know somebody there. I think I can get that drug. Yeah. We didn't know anything about the drug. We knew it was a prodrug and yada, yada, yada. Well, technically what the drug could do, but that's all. We hadn't heard of it previously. He goes to Gilead and they said, no, there's a drug just like it. It's cheaper. Use that for the research. He did. And what do you know? For the first time ever in clinical trials, published papers, this is not just me saying that. This is not a public official standing on stage saying, I have a hunch. These are published peer-reviewed papers that indicate that these kittens lived. And now we're more than a year, well over a year out, and these kittens are still around. Why they're not sick, they're as healthy as can be.
How long ago did Dr. Peterson start with bringing this substitute for remdesivir?
2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, somewhere in there.
2.5 years ago, and now we've got a year of data.
Yes. So that's amazing news, right? I mean, if you're a veterinary professional, and I hope some of you are watching who are, or have had a kitten yourself with FIP, you know how incredible this news is. I mean, some veterinarians don't even know yet because it takes a while for information to trickle down. So the story it's a soap opera. It gets more complicated than that. So Dr. Peterson goes back and said, we want to own this drug. We want to use this drug for further clinical trials, and we want a patent on the drug. Gilead said, no, we've changed our mind. You can't have it. Dr. Peterson, being the determined guy he is, went to Kansas State University.
Yeah.
Let's create, we know what the compound is chemically. Let's recreate that. Right. They did. And guess what? That drug works even better for FIP.
Dr. Peterson rocks.
He does. Yes, he does. And actually, one of the great things that have happened in my career is he once laughed at one of my jokes. So anyway, I know you can't. I know. So and it wasn't a very good joke, as he
Was
tells
he
me
being
quite
kind
frequently.
or just humor deprived?
I'm sorry.
Was he being kind in his laughter or just humor deprived, Steve?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. You
Not
said
gonna-
something in front of 1,000 other people or so at a symposium that we held that it was the worst joke he's heard in his life, but he still laughed.
That is a badge of honor.
I think so. I digress.
Yes.
So, Anavive, a pharmaceutical company in the animal health world, is now seeking FDA approval for that drug from KC State.
Yeah.
But as soon as the board of directors, who's been in on all of this, right, heard about COVID-19, understanding it's a SARS virus that causes it, we all said on one of these Zoom type calls in unison, remdesivir, because we knew that the possibility, now cat coronaviruses are not the same as human coronaviruses, first of all. And secondly, which by the way, COVID-19 or the SARS virus that causes it absolutely is a human virus. Oh yeah, it's a human virus. And feline viruses are feline viruses. So would there be a possibility? But we knew there would be because the cell structure is shockingly similar, which is why I could talk about cats and COVID-19 in a moment. But this is exciting news if you're a cat owner. And if you're not, it's fascinating because here is again an intersection between human health and animal health. When Dr. Fauci was asked about remdesivir, the reporter said, well, it came out of nowhere. I have no clue if Dr. Fauci knows that this drug didn't come out of nowhere. I know he knows it was once attempted for Ebola, but I don't know that he knows it proved success, or a drug just like it did, proved successful to help cats. And I suspect he does know it. He hasn't talked about that.
I'll bet he knows by now.
If he's listening to me, he knows. So if you're a cat lover, this is one reason to support the Wynn Feline Foundation, because the work that the Wynn Feline Foundation funds is really important for cats. And Wynn Feline Foundation, you see the right spelling right there. Just add a .org, and you can go to their website.
Great. Well, and it's especially poignant today being the day before Giving Tuesday.
Correct. Yeah. So my hope is that if you're interested in FIP, interested in cats in general, and funding for cats, and Wynn Feline, by the way, funds studies regarding community cats, regarding wild cats on occasion, regarding cats all over the world, and we fund researchers all over the world. Shelter cats, that's a big one for us. So it's not only cats in our homes, it's really all cats. Yes.
Well, that's really brilliant. Steve, as you know, on this show, this is a show about gratitude also. And we've gotten a chance to, instead of giving our typical shelter shout out, and I know that you work with many shelters.
Yeah.
It sounds like today's appropriate shout out goes to the Wynn Feline Foundation.
I have another.
You do?
I do. I thought of another.
So, baby. Who you got?
Absolutely, the Wynn Feline Foundation. Again, if you have a cat, you have no idea, if you've never heard of the Wynn Feline Foundation, of the impact, well before I was involved at all, the impact this organization continues to have and has had for cats. In fact, it's the only organization like it, as far as we know, on the planet that funds solely cat health studies. So there are other organizations that fund dog health studies. There are others that fund dog and cat and wild animals, but nothing funds solely cats, as far as any of us know. Now, here's the gratitude part.
Yeah.
I forgot to tell you I'd be mentioning this, but
yes,
I got it here. So it is. Thank you for that. It is a book called Decoding Your
Cat.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a big fan of your book, Decoding Your Dog. And in fact, I'll even get a link to it on the website. Actually, let's preview the fact that you're going to be back with us again a week from today. We'll do an update, and we'll also talk about stuff that's in decoding your cat and decoding your dog, including separation anxiety, because I know that that's an issue we can talk about a week from today.
Yeah, I really think that as life gets back to whatever the new normal might be, that we're going to be away much more than we are now. The great news, as you mentioned, shelter adoptions are way up, fosters are way up, and some of those dogs have never been left home alone now because we're home all the time. And those dogs may be more predisposed to separation distress anyway. And in addition to that, if your dog previously has had separation distress and you have fixed it in some way, great, except now you're going to be starting all over in a lot of ways. So I will talk about which dogs are most likely to have it and how you can get sort of a leg up, pardon my vernacular, on hope your dog didn't hear that, on this issue. So you can make a difference right now. I'll tell you, if the worst thing people can do, dog has separation anxiety and, the dog will figure it out. I'm going to be home. And, the dog didn't figure it out this week, figure it out next week. Not this week, next week. Not next week, the week after. And eventually figure out I'm coming home. Actually, the problem usually worsens rather than gets better. So you can be proactive. I'll talk about how to do that and some products that will help. I am so excited about this book. I mean, we did Decoding Your Dog because there are so many misconceptions at that time, mostly due to a guy on TV talking about how you need to be dominant over your dog. That's rubbish, by the way.
Yeah.
It's, so we felt, okay, we've got to do something. But you know what? This is not written by me. I just wrote the foreword. This is written, and I'm promoting it because I really believe in the book. And I don't get royalties for a foreword. It was written by members of the American College of Veterinary Behaviorists, and they're top of the line when it comes to animal behavior. And that's why it's important.
When your publisher sent me a preview copy of Decoding Your Dog, I had to look up who was on that society, the Behavior Society, and it is small.
Well, and now it's larger. It's about 75 or 85 people.
Wow.
But they are veterinarians, all veterinarians who are specialists in animal behavior. So many of you have heard of a veterinary cardiologist, veterinary neurologist, right? Veterinarians that specialize even in ophthalmology. There are veterinarians that have a variety of different specialties. One of those specialties is behavior. In my world, that is the most important specialty because the number one, here's a trivia question, why do more dogs and cats die than anything else?
Why, Steve?
It's not cancers. It's not kidney disease. It's actually behavior. So if the cat misses the litter box one too many times, if the dog is barking and the landlord can't take it anymore, the dog is relinquished to a shelter or a rescue and may lose his or her life as a result of that. So if you could prevent behavior problems and prevent the human-animal bond from fracturing, all the better.
Yes.
So true.
Robbie, you've heard me say it on this show, and the biggest reason that shelter dogs, homeless dogs don't get adopted is lack of training. So I'm with you, brother, on the behavior thing.
Well, lack of training, but also socialization even before the training happens. So, and that's a concern too that I could talk about next week. I mean, great, all these people are bringing puppies in, but they can't socialize these puppies because of social distancing. Yeah. So what do you do now? And I have some ideas about that as well.
Great. Well, you have a plan for your book already. Look what Joan says. Yeah.
You can go. Okay, so you can go to Amazon and pre-order the book. Decoding Your Cat is not available yet to actually get, but you can pre-order right this minute. Decoding Your Dog has been out there for a couple of years, and wherever books are sold, you can find that book.
Great. And
there's a really good question from Catherine Gilchrist. Can we have Steve answer that before we have to go?
Oh, I can answer any questions you want. Do I have to worry about what?
Robbie, go ahead.
Oh, I don't know. I'm assuming COVID-19.
Okay, yeah. So Yeah, I'd love to talk about that actually. If you have 2 minutes.
Yeah, take your time.
Okay, so the good news is that I'm pausing only to figure out where to start here. So the good news is that our dogs and cats cannot give COVID-19 to us. If they were to get COVID-19, and ferrets need to be included here very much. If they were to get COVID-19, they're getting it from us. So that means someone in the household is positive. That's the first thing. Secondly, what does it mean for the dogs and cats that have been identified as positive for COVID-19, and how many are we talking about? And I can go through them. I will, because it will only take 30 seconds. That's how few there are that we know about.
Yeah.
And that is admittedly important, that we know about. So there are, I think it's over 3 million people now on the planet positive for COVID-19, sadly. And that number is probably far, far greater because so many people have been positive in many countries around the world, including this one, and not identified as having it, either because they've been asymptomatic, the tests weren't available, or whatever. Pardon me, Larry?
I have not yet been tested.
Right, me neither. You know, most people haven't unless they've had symptoms of it. So that's a lot of people on the planet. And here are the dogs and cats. So there's 2 dogs in Hong Kong, a Pomeranian and a German Shepherd dog. The Pomeranian, a very old dog who is, I think, 18, was found positive, and a German Shepherd dog. A cat in Hong Kong as well. And it became a policy in Hong Kong where if you know someone in the household has it and is showing symptoms, they actually remove the pet and then they test the pet. I'm not sure that I like the removing the pet part, but that's Hong Kong, and that's another story. They have only found those, to my knowledge, 3 animals to be positive. Because they were positive, what does that mean? So the 2 dogs that were positive, may be the only dogs on the planet. Now, having said that, there was a dog in North Carolina last week, that was found positive. I waited to report on it because here's what I knew, and I still know, that there's been no confirmation of it. So Duke University has been researching this family, and many families, to do studies about transmission of COVID, and that is all wonderful. So they test everyone in the family, including the family pets. But no veterinarian was involved. And veterinarians need to be involved when we're talking about testing animals. So the State Department of Agriculture, the state veterinarian, have not confirmed. The CDC has not confirmed, and nor has the AVMA. I finally did write about it because it was everywhere in the news. What we know about all those dogs is that they have a low level of transmission. It likely came from the dog licking something that someone in the household touched who was positive with COVID. Low level of transmission. The virus is not replicating in those dogs, and those dogs cannot, first of all, transmit it back to people, as far as we know. Those dogs have not shown any signs that they themselves have been ill of COVID, which is a very good thing. There's no indication that a dog could pass on this human virus to another species, such as a cat or a dog in the household. So that is all good. There is a difference between, here's the bottom line, and I could have just said this. There's a difference between having a low level of infection and actually being infectious.
Right.
And that's a good way to put it, I think.
Thank you.
Now, cats, it's a little different because the cell receptors in cats and ferrets, SARS viruses like. So experts like Dr. Scott Weiss and up at Guelph in Ontario, Canada, and others have been really paying attention to cats. But in this household in North Carolina, interestingly enough, the family, so mom and dad, the son, but not the daughter, were positive for COVID. The daughter was negative. One of the dogs, a pug, was positive. The other dog in the household was negative, and the cat was negative. But this has not all been verified, but that's good news for cats. Again, I can count on one hand a cat in Hong Kong, a cat in Belgium that we're still not sure about, and a cat in France we're still not sure about. And those are the only cats, except 2 cats in New York State, that have been positive. And that's significant that have been
Mhm.
positive for COVID. But again, there's no indication that cats can transmit it to other cats, with one exception I'll tell you about, and that cats can transmit it to dogs, no indication of that. Or most importantly, perhaps, that cats can transmit it to people. Also, for the most part, these cats have not shown any signs. However, they have in some cases shown some mild coughing and some distress. We don't know if these signs are related or not. Even if they are, they get over this illness very, very quickly, far faster than most people do. Again, the virus isn't doing well in these cats. There's a concern in ferrets the virus could do better. The good news is ferrets can mount an interesting immune response, and they're looking at ferrets to help. Some researchers are looking at ferrets to help create a vaccine, actually, which I find fascinating.
Wow.
So those who don't believe we should have pet ferrets, all two of you in California, you're wrong.
I was just going to say the same thing. That's finally what's going to get ferrets legalized in California.
Oh, that's crazy that they're not. But here's the thing. We know that 2 of the diagnostic companies have tested. Oh, by the way, the exception of going cat to cat, I should say. So at a zoo in New York, the Bronx Zoo, a tiger, and a moor tiger, an endangered species, was coughing one day. They tested the cat, and wouldn't you know it, the cat was positive. And then other cats were tested too, and they turned out to be positive. Even a cat living next door, not with the tiger, but 2 lions.
Wow.
So, how does that happen? So did the cats transmit it, the big cats, to other cats? So even if the answer is yes, lions and tigers aren't our cats, even if you ask our cats that question, they may disagree because they feel they are like lions and tigers, but they're not, and their genetics are a bit different. Here's what I was going to say. The 2 diagnostic labs between them have tested thousands of animals on the planet, and all that we have found to be positive is what I've rattled off. Out of an abundance of caution, I want to say that the American Veterinary Medical Association, the Centers for Disease Control, recommend if you know someone in the family is positive for COVID-19, that person should not interact and actually attempt to social distance from the pet. For dogs, not your dog, Larry, but for other dogs, what some people may want to do, actually, and some dogs may that's a vacation, is for some dogs, depending on the temperament of the dog, go to a friend's house, go to a neighbor's house for 14 days or longer, if need be, and until the person recovers, plus 14 days, right? So we can do that for dogs. Most cats would not take kindly to that. Some cats are okay with that, but your dog clearly would not be okay with that. Your dog, I think that dog might even be attached to you at times. So for your dog, maybe not.
Cord, it's called a treat bag.
So out of an abundance of caution, the AVMA does say separate. Am I concerned? And I hope this answers the question, by the way. It's a long-winded answer, isn't it?
I'll get back to the question in a moment. No, I'm joking.
What? Oh, no.
I'm messing with you, buddy. Yeah, but I do want to get back to when I distracted you. You said you had another shelter you wanted to give a shout out to.
Or it's something else you had as a blessing.
Oh, it was, this.
Oh, the book. Okay.
Yeah, the fact that we have it available.
The book.
Truly is, because, there are, even if you've had cats all your life, I would argue you may have some misconceptions. And also veterinary behaviorists, I defer to them, That was me bowing. It doesn't show there. But, these are absolute experts. And the other thing to consider is if your cat, for example, is thinking outside the litter box, the first thing I always say is see your veterinarian, because there may be, in fact, if it's a new behavior, I would say there's some likelihood that there is a medical condition causing this, or at least contributing to this. So these are veterinarians who are experts in animal behavior, who have gone to school many extra years to study animal behavior. And in some cases, they do the research that I often communicate about.
Great. Reminding folks again that tomorrow is Giving Tuesday, and Steve, in that spirit, is there somebody you want to send some gratitude or blessing to today?
Me? I suppose all the researchers
Mm,
who, well, let me answer the question correctly first.
yeah,
My wife. But after that,
right.
but after that, the researchers who the Wynn Feline Foundation has funded. I mean, without them coming to us, we would not be able to fund those studies. The people, our donors,
Yeah.
you know, and whether you have given us $5 or my hope is $5 million or something in between, you've made a difference for cats. And our donors, each and every one of them, have made a difference. So tomorrow would be a good day to show your appreciation. Any day would be. But being that it is Giving Tuesday, tomorrow would be a good day to do that.
Amen. Well, Steve Dale, it is just terrific to reconnect with you, and we look forward to having another fun time and informative time a week from now on Dog Hugs.
Right. We'll talk about separation anxiety, and we'll talk about whatever people want me to talk about. I hope I answered that question, by the way.
Pardon
You
me?
did. Yeah, you did.
Okay, great. All right. Take care, buddy.
See you next
Thank
week,
you.
Steve.
Good to see you both.
You too.
Adios.
Bye. Robbie. Wow.
Amazing, amazing.
Let's go back to the comments. We've gotten so many comments since Steve started talking. Haven't had a chance to talk about everybody. David says, oh, this was about the documentary. You must be smart. Right you are, David. I like that mask you're wearing. And this is my dad chiming in. This is fascinating to us.
Oh, that's nice.
Great. And Joan says, yep, I need to decode my. By the way, Joan's cat's name
It's Bunny Rabbit.
yeah. And let's see. And there's also, this is why Steve Dale is so respected all across the country. Thank you, Steve. Couldn't have said it better. And Catherine says, thank you. Yes. Yeah. That was quite an answer to your great question there, Catherine. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
We have people with us from Singapore and New York,
Go back. Who did I miss up here?
Connecticut. I believe there was somebody from Scotland.
Look at this. Hi from Singapore. It's Chris.
Scotland.
Singapore. Yeah.
Oh, Catherine is from Newfoundland.
And Joni, hi from Glasgow. Not too far from Guelph, or is it Guelph, Canada, rather than Scotland that Steve Dale was talking about? Come on, buddy. Get down
I
here.
think Steve was talking about Canada.
Okay. And then Spread Eagle, Newfoundland. Haven't heard of Spread Eagle, Newfoundland. Wow. I've got to look that up on a map now. All right. Well, it is really great to welcome all of you. Right, Spider. Yeah, he's so
We've got Beth watching from the UK.
What? We got somebody else watching?
Yep. She just chimed in.
Well, hello there, Beth. Come here. Good boy, Spider. Very good. Down. He's obviously done with his treat.
I think so.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Thank all of you for chiming in today. Robbie, who do you have to bless or give some gratitude to today?
I have to give some gratitude to Steve and to the Wynn Feline Foundation because let's face it, I have a house full of cats. I've always had a ton of cats. So, anything that's ever done to like advocate for cats and move, whether it's health issues, behavioral issues forward, I am all about that.
Amen.
So,
we've neglected to mention that this whole show has been also going live on our sister channel, Crime Less Cat. So all of you folks who really love cats, please join us also on Crimeless Cat. Show you that there? Yes. Great. And then Robbie, soon we're going to be doing live shows that are on Crimeless Cat.
My first show should be kicking off Wednesday with Deb Barnes. Her business is called Z and Zoe. Yes. Her website is Z and Zoe.
Yes.
She's the president of the Cat Writers Association, and who better to kick off my first show with than, the cat lady, Deb Barnes.
Oh my gosh, congratulations. Oh, I'm so excited. Can't
Very
wait.
excited about that.
Yeah. Well, my gratitude and big hug today goes to the birthday girl, Robbie S. Robbie, once again, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Wishing you another very special day after birthday day.
Thank you.
And thanks to all of you at home. Thank you so much for this marathon edition of Dog Hug. And thanks again to Steve Dale for joining us tomorrow.
It's amazing.
What we have tomorrow, let me show you. This is a very special show. We have Stavit Budin. Now, what's special about Stavit is she's coming all the way from Israel to.
Wow.
Well, actually, I'm going to Israel. Well, actually, not exactly that either. I am going to interview her. You'll see an interview that I did here from my desk while she was in Tel Aviv. So, fantastic performer and behaviorist who's going to share with us some great stuff and her wisdom about dogs. So,
nice.
Really excited about that. And let's see, back to us over here. There we go. All right, back to us. All right, well, once again, thank you guys so much for joining us on Dog Hugs. We really, really appreciate all of who you are and can't wait to see you guys again tomorrow. Bye, Robbie.
Bye, everybody.